Distinguished member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, world champion, Dremiel Byers. First off, walking into these halls, induction, honors weekend. What are your initial reactions to what's happening right now?
It's a lot to take it all in. It's impressive. I appreciate it, and I'm grateful. And the journey, I'm glad I got people here that was on this journey with me. My teammates, Coach Lewis, uh, Colonel Dominic Black, retired Sergeant First Class Keith Saraki, his family, his son, and just all my guys, Oscar Woods out here. So it's the people that was rolling with me that was saying, let's get it done, let's get it done, let's get it done. Sitting in the sauna with me, holding me up, or getting these last kilos off because I decided to stop at McDonald's or something, or that damn live wire Mountain Dew.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that stuff is.
Well, let's go back in time a little bit before all this happened. See, right now, as people enter Army's world-class athlete program, the intent is to wrestle. You kind of backed into this in terms of discovering Greco-Roman wrestling in your career. So let's just connect the gaps between wrestling in high school and wrestling in WCAP. How did that all materialize?
Well, I initially went to North Carolina A&T State University. Had a animal science major. I was going to be a vet when I graduated, but ended up joining the Army. And basic AIT was what it was. When I got to my first duty station at Fort Lewis, Washington, they offered a post-turn wrestling tournament. And, I had those thoughts in basic training, where, man, I'm not doing what I wanted to do with my life. I thought I'd be playing football somewhere. I thought for sure I would be doing that. And I think when that tournament rolled around, I just needed a place to really vent. And I took that out on those poor guys, and I really let it come out. And it was, I really didn't even know what I was doing. I knew it was coming out of me, though, and people appreciated what they were seeing. The athletic director called the head coach of the All-Army wrestling team, and one of the officials did the same thing. And when that happened, they coordinated my first All-Army with my company commander. And so showing up to Fort Benning, Georgia, walking into that room with that level of athletes, Sean Lewis, Derek Waldrop, Rodney Smith, Anthony Amato, 80 Olympian, it was just that they had their own standards of way things was going to be done. It was predominantly Greco. Never really heard of it, maybe once in college. A guy that wrestled, he said, "Yeah, I know you state champ, but can you Greco?" And I was like, probably. I didn't really know what he meant. But I think that was 96, my first All-Army. And so from there, by 99, I won my first nationals, made my first world team. I didn't do well over there. I finished 5th. Morieko took me out one match before I got a chance to wrestle Corellin. And so I was happy to be there. And I was even more happy to be around the team, or see how these guys have been doing it so long, committed to it. Dennis Hall was there, and to me, Dennis Hall was like a pocket-sized Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like he was hellfire, and he was just something to me. I was like, man, I wish I could be intense like that. I didn't understand why he was like that nowhere near a wrestling mat. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool that he's like that, though. That dude is tough. And so I just paid attention to all these people and their different personalities and how they approach things. And I was just grateful then. That was my first world team in 99, and it just wasn't good enough, and I had to keep building. So things just kept going.
You talk about your teammates, your brothers in the black and gold with WCAP, and you look back, you've got a world championship, but you were also part of a history-making performance in 2007. You won a medal, but the team won a championship, something that's never happened before and hasn't happened since. What's more special to you, your individual world championship or your team world championship?
Armed Forces Team Championship.
Okay.
Yeah, that usually is the one you got to be up for. That's the one you got to be ready for and fight, because it's a different kind of fight. It's a rare deal, and it's the bonding thing of the tournament. We used to call those pride tournaments. Pride tournaments, and it was real important, and you didn't want, when it wasn't important to you because it was the first time you was there, even though you're the one on the line, you about to go out here and take this beating if you don't do right. It was so important to the guys that was on the team before me. It was unbelievably important, and I just didn't want to have nothing to do with disappointing them or not delivering, and I messed some of those up, and I still think about those. I messed some of those up, but I understand you can't be on every day, but I didn't want to always. If I made a mistake at that tournament, I wanted to correct it for sure, and I wanted to be a dependable entity for that tournament. Your heavyweight, occupational hazard, you're the last word, you're the last say. Exclamation mark, everything.
Bruce Burnett goes in. He spent a long time as the Naval Academy coach. His first job responsibility was to beat Army. That's on the thing. From an Army's perspective, you talk about the team titles. How, you're all defending the country. It's you're soldiers. But explain maybe to an outsider what competing against the Navy, the Marine Corps, and the Air Force is like.
Okay.
Because it's combative. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, I know. Let's say when you were a kid, you happened to be around a bigger kid, a tougher kid, and you did something wrong in front of him and his mother told him to beat you up.
Okay.
That's a different fight, right?
That is a different fight.
That's a different fight. You don't know what fuels people that serve the country. Because you're talking about people that serve the country, you're talking about a young person that's truly the best of all the young people because they did this thing in front of everyone. Sign themselves up for selfless service. I am of service at this age for my country. And they raise their right hand, state their name, swear to protect the Constitution against all enemies, both foreign. They do the whole deal. But this young person made this heavy decision, this not at all selfish decision, even though it's their life, but it's hey, because you got to go where the Army needs you, or the military needs you. You got to best meet the needs of the military, most situations. So a young person doing that, that's why that's a classy person. That's a better person. I can count on this person. This person is, even though it's to have a future, a life, and all these things, this person raised their hand and said, I'm willing to die for this. If you need me to, they're the best of us. That's why we front of line service discounts and treatment. But that's not the only reason. But you don't know what it took for this guy to be that. A lot of people don't. And when you get there, you still got to prove yourself every day. Every day. Prove yourself every day. And it's just, you want these challenges, you want these obstacles, you want things to get in front of you that you can run them over and still achieve and still be successful. And then you start looking around like, this guy has motivated me to be, to break through all my glass ceilings. What else can I do? And anybody that's still serving, you get these guys that had these long careers, they still riding that eye. They still did that. They did that, and they're still riding on that. 50 and 60 years old, that's still in their heart. Even though it's the status quo, every day, grinding, they may be mean, rattlesnake mean, but they sign themselves up for their country. It's a different kind of human being. So when you got to go against this guy and his livelihood or anything he's prideful of, or for a competition, you should expect a fight. I seen something one time with some Marines in overseas that was traveling with us. They just looked at each other from across the room. And it was like, you think you're a better Marine than me? Do you think you're a better Marine than me? I'm like, man, I seen a guy dead to rights, flat on his back, an old timer from nowhere yells, get off your back, Marine. It was like the bridge of a lifetime. I've never seen a bridge like this. It was the biggest bridge. You're not pinning me, but it's a prideful thing that rests inside of us. When we come together, but it's there, and you generally respect it because he did that.
When we look at your career, wrestling as a whole, you tend to toil in obscurity because it's not a mainstream sport. Then you break into the senior level. there's fewer fans in the NCAAs. Now, when you're wrestling Greco, a lot of the guys didn't have college careers. You didn't have a college wrestling career, so you had to create a household name by winning medals. You also didn't have the benefit of a college career to add to your accolades to, for example, get into the Hall of Fame. So Greco guys have a lot less opportunities to make this type of thing happen. Knowing that, but knowing that you've made yourself a household name, not just for you, but for the Army, does that make this induction maybe more special?
The road we took to get here, the bond that we have and we share, we can, it don't matter how many years in between words, we pick right back up. I'm glad they're here with us. I'm glad they're here with me. I'm glad they pushed me. And I'm gonna drag them in here with me. You know, I just can't believe I'm here, and I'm just grateful to be here. And I appreciate the wonderful people that made this happen and demanded more of me along the journey.
Yeah, kid from North Carolina, never wrestled Greco. Now you're in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's taken you around the world in so many different fashions. And one thing that's always intrigued me about you is not just your physical presence, because it's larger than you. Your presence is bigger than you, and you're a big man. But it's your beautiful smile. Oh, no, it's your sense of humor, man. You put off such an imposing vibe, but you are always one of the guys that's always smiling, always cracking jokes. You're not afraid to bust some balls.
No, that's part.
It's almost refreshing to a point, because you talk about Dennis Hall being like, rah, rah, rah. You can be rah, 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 but you're also right off the mat. You're gonna be like, hey, you know, you throw a joke at somebody just to lighten the mood. How is it? How tough is it, or what is the mindset to be so ferocious and so funny at the same time?
I think we used to say sometimes surviving is worse. You know, all the funny things that happen when we're trying to be the absolute killer on the mat. Like, we used to tell each other, hey, before we get to this minute mark, it'll be this many points on the board, and I'll do these moves specifically. And we would say this, and then we would wrestle terrible at every tournament. So every now and again, that would come up. I think, man, that's a good question, man. I'm just happy that we here, man. I can't believe we made it here. Can't believe we made it here. And if you only knew the things that these guys have done for me, you know, just little brother, annoying brother.
And that's not just the Sarakis either.
No. Saraki held me down for a while, man. He always, both of them, honestly, they good guys that, you know, we share a lot. We do share a lot. And it's just, man, I couldn't have asked for a better bunch of people to be around me, you know. And the standards that they have and the way they carry themselves and how genuine they are. They really care. They really care.
Last question before we continue the weekend.
I don't even know if I answered your question. I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter, because you've got knowledge that, coming from your perspective, that probably hasn't been seen in this Hall of Fame. Nobody's got the background you do in this, so you're unique in that regard. So I guess want to capitalize on that uniqueness as we close out here. Not that many Greco guys have won in the United States, have won a world championship. There was a very small group of people in Baku in 2007 that were part of a very special run. By 1 point.
It's crazy.
And to sit up there and to not hear that Russian anthem, to hear the greatest 15 words in sports, ladies and gentlemen, please rise to the national anthem of the United States of America. That was, 14 years ago. That moment is part of your moment here. I guess, can you put that in perspective on that world championship and what it did for your career?
Just in that moment, we was trying to figure out if they were really going to not play our anthem, because they wasn't doing it. They wasn't playing it. And we're standing up there. And I was starting to get a little heated about it, and then that's it. Just started yelling and singing it as loud as I could. And everybody fell in and started singing our anthem. And then halfway through us singing our anthem, they played our anthem. So we got our anthem and a half.
Because normally they'll truncate it because you only get about 45 seconds of it. You get the full anthem and then some.
Yeah, we sung half of it, and then they started over just playing it. So we sung it in.
I mean, whose singing was that bad that they had to start it? That's the one thing.
I don't know. I know they didn't like that though. I'm so glad we did that.
Yeah,
I was glad we did that.
Dremiel,
it was a good time, and it was an amazing team that we had. We had this amazing team we had. We had a good bond, a real good bond, and we was kind of tight. It was pretty tight.
Yeah, it was youth, veterans, Army. You got everything put together. Training partners. That was just that set the table for the next wave.
That's true.
I mean, it's an interesting trip. But Dremiel, for you, it's been an interesting trip. Congratulations on your induction. It's been a pleasure to know you all these years, and it's really cool to see you get to go in with just a remarkable story that you've got.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Congrats.